Hello, this is Alex, and welcome back to Banging Your Head Until the Right Answer Comes Out. Now, we completed a lot, especially if you go back, but right now we want to complete this item here, create a table with a schema and some sample fields with T-SQL. Now, we did it in the UI, and now I just want to go over with how you could do that with T-SQL. The fortunate thing with SQL Server is that on many objects, you can just right-click on it. We'll do this one first, and go to Script Table As, Create To, and your Query window. The waiting part is a little bit new. Usually this returns right away. It could be because I'm in such a slow, cheap tier of the cloud. Alright, so now you see, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but here we're saying this is the database that we're going to use. These are just all the time. They're every time that you create something, they tend to be there. We can go into detail on that later, but right now, the important part is that this is data definition language. And here we are, create table. So I'm creating something. What am I creating? A table. And what's that table called? Well, it's owned by the DBO, and it is, that was a bird that just hit my window. Okay, anyway, and this is the name of the table. A parenthesis over here, and now we've got our fields. And then a constraint. Remember when I right-clicked on there and I said primary key? Well, this is that constraint. We have some additional information down here. I usually don't get too invested on all these things, unless I have to. But here we got our field name, the data type of that field, and then when I double-clicked on identity, this is when it turned on. Here is my initial value. Here's my incrementer, and I'm saying not null. This value needs to have this field needs to have a value in it. And then our second one is name. Data type is nvarchar. The max length of that variable length field is 200. And again, not null. And then here we've got status. It's a tiny int and not null. Okay. So why do I have the red squiggles? Well, the red squiggles are telling me that there's a problem with my script. And the problem is that this table already exists. If I said customer 2, the error goes away. Alright, so you see I've got two tables here. If I go ahead and execute this, of course, gotta make sure that any objects, like constraints that are created, they have to be updated to new names as well. Otherwise, it'll think that it's this other constraint. So I hit the execute button, and it ran this script, and it created our table. So if we go to tables, and we hit refresh, and there's customer 2. Okay, so next up, we're going to say, what is the difference between the data definition language for a table that is in a schema versus one that is not? And the answer is there isn't much of a difference. Basically, the difference here is that instead of saying DBO, we look over here, it says DBO. Instead of saying DBO, it's got our actual schema in there, customer.master. So if we change this to master 2, our squiggles go away, meaning that we've got syntactically correct script. Of course, we've got to put the 2 here. It doesn't tell us that that exists already. So SSMS might need a little bit of work in terms of telling you problems before you run into them. This time I'm going to do Control A to select all the script, and I'm going to do Control E, and that executed it. I'm going to go to Tables, refresh, and there we go. We now have 2 duplicates of our original tables with the number 2 at the end. Seems like this is a good time, though, to show how to drop a table. So if I right-click on this, and I go to delete, There's nothing I really need to do here. And I hit OK, and that table is deleted and actually updated over here. But showing you how to do that is only half the battle. You should be able to know how to do it through script. So now go script table as drop to new query editor window, and it actually writes the script for me. Now, if you do this yourself, you're probably not going to do all this if exists, blah, blah, blah. If you're running the drop table statement, you know it exists, usually. So I'm just going to highlight that drop table statement. Again, action, drop, what kind of object, table, what's the name of the object, customer.master2, and I'm going to do Control E, and there we go, it's deleted. Notice that since I didn't use the UI, it's still here. So if we go and right-click on tables and click on refresh, and there we go. We're back to where we were before. All right, thank you, and we'll move on to